How have your past projects influenced your vision and your music that you make today?
First of all, first first album I put out, I don't really think was like I don't think it was top quality. It kind of inspired me to work on the conceptual side of my more recent things like Opus, which I put out last year, about a year ago, um, which I feel like overall was a little bit better, but I feel like I can even improve upon that project. So it really just, when I listen to my music, it really just kind of makes me want to do better. Because after a while, when you hear your stuff over and over again, it's like, damn, this is like, it gets old, and it kind of makes you see the things about it that you don't like, what you want to improve on the next time around. So, and overall, the way like Opus was, um, I feel like it was better when before I put it out. Like a lot of people were hitting me up talking about like, yo, I'm proud of what you're doing. Like I always feel whenever I put a big project out, I always feel the love from people. And people thought it was dope, and it was it only goes uphill hopefully from here.
Supreme Soup? Soup? I know you go by a few names.
Supreme Soup, the Supreme Soup, which I added on the Supreme because I used to just be Soup, and that was kind of like regular. Uh, it was, I'm pretty sure I told the story. I just kind of, I don't even know the exact reason where soup came from, but I did eat soup a lot, so there's that thing. You know what I mean? But soup wasn't specific enough, so I added the Supreme Soup. Because I had my group with my man Mo Preem, one Supreme. He was Preem, I was just Soup back in the day. He added Mo Preem on. Now I'm the Supreme Soup. So that's what it is. Also, people call me Soup for short.
I know you also go by Shazam.
Shazam is actually a completely different entity. You know what I mean? Shazam is like, I couldn't just be like, yeah, I'm Shazam right now. Maybe I could step off screen and come back later, and Shazam will be in the building. But right now, it's just the Supreme Soup. I don't really know much about Shazam. Um, Shazam is kind of different. I mean, I can't really explain all that, to be honest.
How do you promote your music and your rapping skills in general?
I mean, there's a lot of things, and I know for a lot of people it can be like confusing because like you think of so many ideas of what you can do. One thing that I do, I started a few months ago. I would go out and I'd be like performing in the streets and stuff like that. I mean, just I don't do it like all the time, but I've recently kind of got back into it a little bit. Um, because I got a friend who's out there. He's out there playing guitar, and so I link up with him. Sometimes we'll, be just a few feet away from each other on opposite ends of the street, of the block or whatever, and we'll just hold down whatever area we got. But that was originally like thing that I wanted to do to make money, but it's more the more the value comes from like the attention that you get. You know what I mean? Like it makes you stand out, kind of. So I definitely will be like performing in the street anytime I feel up to it. People really fuck with that. And also, I do like my little YouTube thing. I got a few YouTube fans just off of the reactions and everything. And man, there's a lot. There's the internet. I take the internet more seriously than I used to. I used to just try to stand out from the internet by doing like the hands-on shit, like putting up posters. I did flyers. With my first album I dropped, I rode around the city of Binghamton and put flyers all over the telephone poles. I went all up and down Main Street, Conklin Ave, and everything. And you know, I drank the Super 94 August 12th, and then it like rained the next day, and they all like came down or whatever. But my friend did. She went out to her bus stop and she took a picture. She's like, I see you, Sue. And so it kind of like people do see it. People do notice that. So I haven't done that in a while though. But just talking to people, trying to remain active musically, put out tracks as often as I can, and just try different things. Send stuff to people on Twitter. There's a lot that I do, and I switch it up depending on what I think is working and what I don't think is working. And it gets confusing sometimes, I won't lie. Like sometimes you just be sitting around like, yo, what can I be doing right now? Because sometimes nothing is easy. There's no like quick way to just, oh, boom, this works. None of it's easy. There's something, but there's always that one thing that you feel like works and has like a formula to it. Like your homeboy from yesterday, he had something that I see was working. He had a bunch of people come out, and then he had people doing interviews, what they thought of his music, and there's a lot of weight to that. There's definitely like a solid formula in that. So as long as you can feel the formula and you can see like, yo, this is something that works, then you can stick with it. But it's easier said than done. Obviously, like not everybody knows who I am right now. Clearly, one of my favorite things though, what works for me is just like my skill. If I can get in front of a crowd of people and just put on a show, like the Wild 'N Out shit, I went in there and just showed off my skill, and it was like, sometimes shit like that, people be like, yo, they remember shit like that, and that's all you need. You just gotta blow. You gotta live your life like it's a movie.
Just to add on to that real fast, when you talk about your formula and getting on stage and finding ways to project your art, what would you say your formula is, or do you still feel like you're figuring that out?
The one thing that never seems to fail me is the music that I put out. You know what I mean? I could try to do events. I could do a show that flops. My Opus release show from last year, there were only like, I don't know, man, like 10, 15 people that came out. But maybe less, I don't know. But make good music, and that will inspire me to put it out there. I got my whole next project planned, and the project after that planned out already.
We're going to get to that in a
Yeah,
minute.
facts. And I just try to make the best quality music that I can, whatever I think showcases my lyricism and my style, and I'll just find a way to make that shit poppin', the best that I can. I mean, so my formula, like I said, it could be anything. It's just the music comes first. I just want to perfect the sound the best that I can first, and then I'll get to the promotion afterwards. Because you fill your mind up with too many things, it can really stifle you. Like it can make you feel like quicksand is at your ankles. So just develop yourself as an artist and develop how you're gonna show people who you are.
Do you perform any other kind of art? And if so, on what platforms and what stages?
I guess poetry kind of goes with the rap. So that's, to me, that intertwines, because I'll go to like slam poetry club meetings, and I'm like the only one there, like really rhyming as much as possible, but I still try to mix it in. But it's like, so my rap and my poetry, they live in the same world, and I try to more recently I've been avoiding like rhyming too much and just focus on what it is I want to say, because sometimes you let the rhymes tell the story for you, and that can be a cool thing. But when you're telling a real story that you want to really express and let it flow, like I focus on the story first. Of course I can make it rhyme if I want to, but it comes to the poetry, acapella, and there's no beat, sometimes you want to switch it up because rhyming is only one side of the spectrum. But yeah, and other art forms, there's a lot more things that's art than you think. Like, I mean, of course, like I do draw a lot. I'm not gonna say a lot. I lied. I used to draw a lot more than I do now. But I sometimes will draw, like, for my brother. Couldn't afford to get him a Christmas present, really, so I drew a picture of him and my nephew. And surprised with how it came out. I'm not too good with drawing hands or anything like that, but I'm good with faces. If I look at a picture, I can basically copy it right down. So I could have came in handy back in the, 1800s before they had cameras and everything. I'd just be doing portraits and everything. That'd be dope. Even like sports, like basketball. There's an art to basketball, and you see me do my hook shots. If there's a style, if there's a certain style to anything, it can be considered art. And basketball players have their own styles, so that's, with the hook shots, or with, like, Jordan, the way Jordan flies through the air, producing beats. That's like a whole other mode I gotta get into. Like,
I know you talked a little bit about the whole Shazam ordeal, and you can't speak much on that, but I wanted to know what can you tell us about the genie lamp, and how does that manifest itself in your art? What does that mean to you?
the genie lamp. I mean, I really don't know that much about it. You have to, like, it's complex, man. It's so complex.
Yeah.
But
Could you break that down?
it has to do kind of with, like, the Mandela effect situation. It kind of ties in with that in a way that you can only really hear the project to understand. I mean, I can't. It's deep. With the lamp, that's not even really my thing to explain. Sometimes you have to let the art talk for you. But it does have to do with the Mandela effect.
With that being said, what can you tell us about the Mandela effect, actually?
My next project is called the Mandela Effect. And basically, it's one of those projects you can just check it out, have your own opinion on. It's just loosely based off of, I'm going to be rapping from the perspective of someone who has no memory of who they are or their friends or their family. And in turn, it makes me more observant of the world around me and makes me happier for the time being. But through the rest of the album, you can kind of see how it affects my happiness. Like, I feel like the longer you live on this planet, the more it tries to kill your spirit. So, of course, there are ways to avoid that. Just like your man was saying, self-care, you know what I mean? Self-care, definitely. But with this, it's basically, the thing is, the world is cruel, it's depressing, it can make you sad, and it can be confusing to a foreign mind. So that's as much as I can say. Now, what happens to me, this is an alternate reality of what it would be like in my life if I didn't have a memory, if I was resurrected. And I'm not necessarily saying that's what actually happens. You never know, because the way I look at this project, it's like I can't explain it in words that will simplify. It's one of those things I loosely describe and put it out there, and you can decide what happens to me, or what's going on with me, or who are the people that I talk to, what each song means. And I use it to kind of bring out the emotions in those songs, because I'm learning about myself when I read read my lyrics, listen to my own music without knowing myself, then it is that much more deep. You know, it's that much more deep for me to read that because I have a few stories to tell that really affected me heavily, like romantic situations, family situations that if I was just rapping about like regularly, like people do, because you hear music so much, like you hear the same song over and over again, like love songs. You can hear a love song and not, it doesn't really touch you all the time because so many people make love songs. It takes a certain type of love song to really hit hard. So I feel like if I was coming from a perspective of myself, the songwriter, the song rapper, singer, whatever, actually rapping shit that I don't even know, like reading in the form of a letter, it's like, damn, this is hitting him. It's not just hitting me. You know what I mean? And it's just like you gotta approach from a different way if you want people to feel it. Like the love songs, the tragedies, the rough childhood songs don't really hit the same way they used to because you heard it so much. And there's a whole lot to talk about the Mandela effect.